What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark in the afternoon. Not quite dark yet. I mean, I guess depending on where you are in the country, what time of day it is, wherever you are, maybe it is dark for you. But tonight we'll be breaking down this evening. We'll be breaking down game number 35 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season as they lose here tonight to the Winnipeg Jets 5-2, moving to 21-12-2 on the season. Answer questions from the chat, see where you guys are at, take super chats, whatever you got going on. We'll just break it all down, talk about how the Maple Leafs ruined Christmas with back-to-back losses in regulation here, and just really put a dagger in everything to kill my mood and make Christmas miserable for myself and everyone around me. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad, but we will dig into the game here today. A presentation of Bet365. Bet365 is a proud partner of Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. Code NATION, all caps, NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right. Some of the stuff I'm seeing here in the chat already is going to be some of the interesting things to get to on the show today. First thing I want to address, obviously, it's the next-gen game. And I was talking about it with some people this morning here, and I was like, you know what? What is going to happen when the kids are in there and it's the 2 p.m. game, the school kids are out, families are there. It's not really as corporate of an environment, yada, yada, yada. Well, I thought it was going to be really loud, and it was, and there was a lot of kids, and that's awesome to see. I think this is a fun game to have and a fun thing to do. First things first, were there more Jets fans in attendance for this game than there were Leafs fans? Why was it so loud anytime Winnipeg did anything and anytime Winnipeg scored goals or finished checks? What was that about? Are there just people from Winnipeg home for Christmas and coming back to Toronto and they decided to get out to the game here today? Are the people of Winnipeg stealing tickets from little kids and children who are trying to go to the next gen game? I think maybe that's what the story of today's game should be, is that the people of Winnipeg are stealing opportunities from little kids to go to games here in Toronto, because why were there so many Jets fans there at this game? That was one thing I couldn't believe. Typically, we talk about this Leafs team and the Leafs fans and how well they travel and how you never get outnumbered or outmatched wherever it is that you're playing against whoever the fan base is, even in their barns. And this is the one time it felt like that was the case. And it was here in Toronto. So Leafs fans, I've tried to give a pass for these games and tried to understand that this was, okay, yeah, it's an expensive place to play, and that's why it's more corporate, and they need to turn ticket prices down, and the cost of beers, and etc. And the team needs to give them a reason to get excited. This is one time here, Leafs fans, that we could have been louder, and it felt like Jets fans were really loud in that arena tonight or this afternoon, whatever you want to call it. So that was the one thing I wanted to say first and foremost. Second, it's time to talk about Riley, is what our man says. Zack, it's time to talk about Riley. I have given this guy a pass here for a little while and not really kind of gone in on Morgan Riley. It actually really might be time to talk about him, because Ekman-Larsson, whoever he plays with, he seems fine. Tanev, whoever he plays with, he seems fine. McCabe, whoever he is with, it seems like he is fine and he doesn't need this partner. Morgan Riley has not looked very good. He and I don't mean to say like he's looked terrible or anything like that, but Morgan Riley has been a passenger for basically 35 games here now. We're talking about a guy who had a small spurt for a couple of games where alongside OEL, it looked like, okay, maybe he's got something going here. He can get himself involved in the power play, create some opportunities. Like, he might be a guy who could step up because all this pressure's taken off him, because he actually finally has a top four around him in Jake McCabe, in Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Chris Tanev. Finally, for what seems like maybe the first time in his career, it's not just a partner who helps him, but it's a partner and a second pairing, and your third pairing has been fine. The defense has really taken a drop off here, and obviously no Tanev tonight is a dagger to how things fit for you as a whole, but it's a couple of aspects. First, structurally, it's something I've talked about for a little bit with this team, where it feels like everything, all the good grace they had built up in this fan base about their defensive play and how much they'd shut teams down at 5-on-5 has gone out the window. And it was slowly drifting away. And now here after this game, after what we just saw over the weekend and how it was in the third period against Buffalo and what we saw against the Islanders on Saturday, it feels like they've completely said fuck it to playing defense and some structured defensive style of play. Like, it has really gotten away from them here, and they've kind of abandoned it, and a lot of what we've seen has been poor defensive efforts from actually the defensemen. And again, I'm not in a panic, blow these guys up situation, because they did start really well, and there's a big piece of me that wants to believe that they'll kind of gravitate back towards who they were and what they were at the beginning of the season, because I think that there is an adaptation or an adapting period here to Berube's style, but it seemed like they were kind of getting in line with everything and how it was supposed to be at the beginning of the season. We saw 5-on-5 offensive play drop off, but we saw defense be unbelievable. And now we're kind of not getting either, really. And that is a scary feeling, where it kind of feels like you might be free falling on both ends of the ice. There's concern about that. And I know that I've kind of just gone away from Riley into a bigger picture thing with the defense and the defensive structure of the team. But really, Morgan Riley right now has not been very good just at all. And the biggest issue comes that if he was making what Oliver Ekman-Larsson was, I would probably just shut my mouth and say, oh, I'm not worried because he's vanilla at, $3 million, whatever it may be. But at $7.2 million or $7.5 million, whatever it is, the exact number on Riley's contract, you cannot be vanilla. You cannot be another just guy on the ice. And then the other thing where I will get frustrated with him is if you're playing with Connor Timmins and you're playing with Simone Benoit or whatever pairings Philippe Myers you're going to get thrown into here over the last stretch, where Berube kind of looks to find you a partner and find different ways to match up the pairings. The thing that I look at here is, you know what? You don't have to shoulder the load of being the only defenseman, but holy fuck, dude, you've got to be a guy who's going to drive on that pairing, because if it's not you, it's not going to be Timmins or Myers or Benoit, whoever you're playing with. So it's got to be you. And he's kind of just fitting out there as just this other guy on the ice. And now both guys are struggling, whoever he's playing with. It has been a disappointing thing to see out of him, because I just kept saying, hey, he's adapting, and I was giving him the crutch of that and saying, you know what, he's into a good position where he can kind of just float by and it's all good because the other guys are so good. Well, now that we're seeing the defensive play of this group deteriorate and wear off, we're starting to kind of look at him a lot more and say, what are you doing and what are you bringing to this group on a nightly basis? Because it's been lacking. It has been lacking. So I need a lot more from him. I need him to be better, especially at that $7 million tag, because if he was way less, we're not worrying about it. Ekman-Larsson exceeds the contract to start the season. Bravo. We're all happy about everything, all the contributions we've gotten out of him. If he goes into a lull or he becomes more quiet of a player, it's not that big of a deal, because he's not hitting you at such a hard cap. He's not just eating away at what you can get out of, that money. Morgan Riley is. And at $7 million to get basically just nothing out of him right now, it's not good enough, and it needs to be much, much, much improved. Like, this has not been good. It's not been good from Morgan Riley. There's much more to get to from the chat. people seem to be very down on them. I don't think big picture I'm as frustrated as where you guys are at right now. This is a very angry chat I'm looking at right now. And I thought for an afternoon show in the holidays, it would be, oh, don't worry about it. And not many people would be here in the chat. There's over 150 people right now. And a lot of you are very frustrated with what's going on. But the one thing you haven't done here is hit the like button on this stream. Like the stream, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401. We are, 8 days away from the new year. I'm going to put the challenge on you guys here for us to be able to get to 15,000 subscribers here on the channel. It's a lofty goal, but I want to obtain it. I want to hit that. So if you like the streams, you comment here in the chats, subscribe to the channel. It helps us get there. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Hit that like button. Thank you to everyone who's here. The other thing that I want to point out as well, because we have not gotten to this yet here on this show, and we have not received any, which is fine, but I do want to remind people, we have a new charity partner on the show this season, a super chat charity partner, and that would be Sick Kids. If you want your question, you want to make sure your question or comment gets on the show, hit us with a super chat. Proceeds from our super chat will go to Sick Kids, Canada's first children's hospital and a top research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and third in the world. When you get a super chat and want to run it on the show, I will play this every single time, and we will put that up there. We'll read your comment, all that kind of stuff. If you guys are wondering, how do I get a super chat? What is a super chat? You click the $ within the live chat. You must be able to see the live chat there. You select one of the following: a super sticker or a sticker pack or a super chat, and then you select an amount by dragging the slider or typing your desired value and then adding an optional message. You can put the color and the amount of time that you want it up there based on how much you spend on the super chat. You click buy and you send, and we will read it here on the show. But remember, proceeds from the super chat are not going to me and the Nation Network, Leafs Nation, and we're putting these in our pockets and stuffing them in there. It's a proceeds are going to Sick Kids charity partner. It's an awesome program that we are working with. So any of those that you want to send throughout the course of the stream here, send those, and they will be read out on the show. So make sure to get them in. Looking over at Facebook, Christine Nanu, they sucked today. Disappointed. Effort-wise, for the first bit, I didn't think was terrible. I didn't think that the group was really just letting Winnipeg kind of walk all over them. I thought, especially early on, after we've had these conversations about start on time, I thought that they started on time here today. They looked pretty good, but it fell off. It deteriorated as the game went on. They looked tired. They looked disinterested. Maybe some of that has to do with some of the injuries. A guy like Tanev not playing. It sounded like there was numerous game time decisions, and obviously Tanev ends up being the one that sticks out who doesn't play here tonight. Matthews doesn't play either, but I thought based on how the game started, we were going to get a lot more from these guys. I don't want to give them the excuse of the injury thing here, because this has been a couple of weeks in a row of kind of watching the same style of play. And honestly, the frustration starts to build for myself, and I'm sure for you guys in the chat, with this becoming a pattern here now, and it leading back to looking like who they were in years past. And the one thing that kind of frustrates me every single time, and I get into battles with people here in the show in the post games, is they're like, stop looking at years past. It's not its same team, different coach, different staff, different players. You know what's not different about the group? The nucleus. Tavares, Marner, Nylander, Riley, Matthews, those guys have been here, and when everything looks the same, it's those guys that I look to. And you know what? Credit to Nylander and Tavares. I thought they both looked good here tonight. Tavares scores a couple of goals. Nylander, I thought, was generating some opportunities. But when you want to talk big picture and how things are with emotion and pushback and getting engaged physically and saying we're not going down here, we've seen a lot of stuff from this group, and getting one of the things I would say as well is getting away from a defensive structure of game and wanting to play up and down, north, south. We're going to go track meet hockey. That's who this team has been in years past, and the main guys have been here. And I always have had the worry that if those guys are still here, does anything else around them change? And right now, it's starting to concern me that level of, or that style of play is creeping back into their game, because through the beginning of the season under Berube, I thought, you know what? It feels like we're adapting. We're getting there. When Matthews went out, we were watching these guys. It was like, we're getting there. We're implementing the right strategies. We're doing the right things. And then now we are reverting back and kind of going in the opposite direction. And that is a frustrating concept, because it seems like the team of old is poking its ugly head through and saying we haven't fully gone away. Now, the bigger picture conversation to me would be, do I think that they can turn it around? Yes. Do I think that there is plenty of time? Yes. Like, this is not a... oh my God, we're almost into the playoffs here. We have no solution for this moment. This is a, okay, where are we at for big picture, the process, how you play as a whole? Is it going to get you to the playoffs? Maybe this is just a learning curve and you're getting over it and you'll figure it out. I'm not really sure where it is, because the group seems to lie to me and convince me otherwise every single time. They have these stretches of, hey, maybe they can do it. Maybe they're different. And then they just go back and they say, hey, you know what? We tricked you. We aren't really different. And then the playoffs come and the same shit happens. So that's why concern comes. But I mean, there is plenty of opportunity for this to go back into the right direction, because we've seen really good for a long stretch, and then we've seen some pretty shit for the last stretch. And that's where it's like, okay, let's blend this all together here and get ourselves back at least even into a midway point for the regular season, so that we can get back to where we were at with really great hockey once we get into the playoffs there. Joshua Disatel, from rumors that Leafs may put Matthews on LTIR after roster freeze, and from rumors that Matthews has back and neck issue. If true or not, we will see. I mean, I think he does have back issues. I'm pretty sure that that's why he went away to Germany, and that's what he was dealing with. It's something that he dealt with a while ago, a couple of seasons ago, and really hampered his ability to produce offensively. It seemed like he got over it last year, but maybe this is something he's just always going to deal with. And then it was re-aggravated the other day. But I mean, on that topic, I think that this is something that he's dealt with for most of this season, because he's not really looked like himself this year. Like, he's not looked like Austin Matthews that we've known and seen in the past few seasons. Even with some of the production that he's been able to put together, it feels like his game's always been a step off. Now, as per the LTIR conversation, I don't anticipate this happening, because I think that would put him out for Four Nations, and I think he's going to play in Four Nations. Make of that what you will, but I think he wants to, and I think he will, which does not allow you to put him onto the LTIR. That's just what I will say about that. Mar 3CDTC. Winnipeg Jets are just better. The Winnipeg Jets goalie is better. That's the only thing I would really give them on this. I think that they played better hockey to start the season. They have not been this powerhouse team since that opening run that they went on. And you know what? I'm not like gonna sit here and say the Leafs are better or anything like that, but the reality is, and when you look at a game like this, and I think why Leafs fans can be frustrated with the outcome of this one, is that I don't think the Jets are any different than the Leafs. And you look at how they play in the regular season and then the playoffs every year, they're basically just the Manitoba version of the Toronto Maple Leafs that nobody really talks about and kind of gets swept under the rug, because they are unbelievable in the regular season, but they burn their Vezina goalie to the ground, having to play as many games as he does, having to carry the workload that he does. And then when they get to the playoffs, they flame out. It happens every single year for them. So They're basically, the same teams. That Jets team is just a little bit more physical, but I think there's an element of fraudulentness to them. And for the conversation here to be, you know what? Oh, wow, the Jets are so much better. This is a deserving result. I don't think so. I think that the Leafs kind of handed this one to them. They allowed the Jets to kind of walk all over. They weren't able to bury their chances. They didn't play that great defensively. So, yeah, it was it's tough. Like, I think that you're looking at some pretty evenly matched teams here. And I think that the Leafs really didn't show up here tonight or today against this Jets team. They really just fucked off pretty much here. Ryan just sending LOL in the chat. And it says 1967. That's fine. The other things here in the chat as well with where you guys are at. I saw another thing about Moody 1986. Please no north-south hockey. That style isn't suitable for skilled players. It's more for third, fourth line hard workers, less skilled. Moody, I'm sorry to tell you, but if you want to have success in the playoffs, you better figure out how the fuck to play that style of hockey, because East-West has got you nowhere in years past. Like, it has done nothing for you in previous seasons. They have basically just been in this too fancy, can't play hard hockey, can't go physical. And when you've run up against Boston and Florida, then they are able to just run all over you because you do not play the right style of hockey. So if these players are not capable of playing that style of hockey, then you've got the wrong fucking players here on this team. I'm sorry to tell you, but then maybe it's time for those guys to be out of here. I don't think that this game is a trade these players type of result and reaction here, but just based on that comment, that's the reality, Moody. I appreciate the comment. Thank you for watching here, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. But if we're gonna have the conversation about, oh, we can't play this style because it's not for these skilled players, no. You've got the wrong players then, if that's the case. If they can't play that and they can't figure it out, this team will never have success with them here. We can all just enjoy lots of points in the regular season, and we can enjoy getting to the playoffs and putting up and having regular season success, but you'll go nowhere if you can't figure out how to play the north-south style of hockey. Like, you just won't. Look at these teams like Dallas, Colorado, Florida, Tampa. Like, they know how to play it, and their superstars were able to buy into that brand of hockey. And that's why they have success. That's why they go far in the playoffs. Like, they know how to do that, how to buy in and get into the system. So if these guys can't do it, get them the fuck out of here, honestly. Like, that's how you play to go far in the playoffs. That's how you play to have success. You need to figure that out. You just need to figure that out. We do have a super chat here on the show, so let's get to the first super chat of the day. Super chat, Keep Beliefin'. Thank you, Keep Beliefin', for the super chat. He says, Camp, 0 goals, 0 goals, scoring, 0 playmaking, 0 goal scoring, 0 playmaking, 0 hits, 0 vinegar. Yeah, David Kampf is very vanilla on here as well. That's one thing that I have some concern with these guys, with looking down in the lineup, and like Vic and I talked about it on Saturday night on the post-game show, is guys who are just guys on the ice, guys who just go out there and just fill in minutes. And David Kampf seems to be one of those guys. Yes, he can penalty kill, but there are other guys who can penalty kill who do other things. Like, look at Bobby McMahon and, Steven Lorentz. Those are guys that I look at and say, hey, they penalty kill and they bring this, and this. These other intangibles to the game: physicality, speed, some goal scoring ability, ability to read offensive zone, like read plays in the offensive zone and get themselves into dangerous areas. Those are guys that they can kill penalties, and they are also able to contribute in other areas. So is David Kampf that much better defensively than those types of guys to warrant not having any offensive ability not having any hands, not being able to contribute in the offensive zone? Is he that much better at defense that it is like, yeah, this guy is worth taking up a roster spot and cap space to be out there? I mean, I don't think so. I don't know that he is. Like, I just, why would you, when there are other options out there on potentially the trade market leading up to the deadline, or guys that you maybe have in the organization, like even Connor Dewar, I think brings a little bit of a different aspect and is also this defensively responsible player who you can play in the center and in a bottom six role. Yeah, like, is he that much better or that much different than David Kampf? Probably not. But is he different? Yeah. And does he bring other things and make him not vanilla? Yeah. It's no offense to David Kampf. He does what he does really well. But when you are a team who's looking for guys to have life and energy and be able to really push the group and drag you into the fight, is David Kampf a guy who's going to do that? I don't think so. So there is an element of frustration when it comes to that. And watching that guy out there eat up as many minutes as he does on certain nights. Like, David Kampf to me is not a guy who moves the needle. He's just another guy on the ice who's, yeah, really good at defense, but he's a forward who kind of kills plays with his stick. Then that you can't have that, especially when you need goal scoring down in the bottom of the lineup. And for a guy who is so defensively responsible, I mean, -2 here tonight in 15 minutes of play. Obviously plays a minute 36 at on the penalty kill, but that also doesn't contribute to your plus minus, right? Your penalty killing is not a contributing factor to the plus minus that you finished with at the end of the night. So I don't know. There are improvements that can be made here with these guys. I think you've at least figured out that maybe Pacioretty and Nyes can fit into your top six. Like, those guys can fit around it, but you need some support lower down. This is maybe one of the first years they were looking at that it's not like this urgent fix to the top six. You can go find some other players who can just elevate the lineup by finding, Yanni Gourds and Nazem Kadris. And I'm not saying those are the players you will for sure get, but those are the kinds of guys who could fit into this lineup and push other guys down and just improve the roster just by process of elimination. You know, if you get a Yanni Gourd to go in there ahead of them, then that maybe pushes David Kampf out or onto the fourth line, whatever it may be. But yeah, there's some improvements that could be made here. The other area that I would say needs to be improved, and I think kind of like bubbled to the surface here again today in this game, is the bottom pairing. I think that we kind of ignored the topic for a while because we didn't want to like put blame on them. And again, I'm not putting blame on them, but now as we approach the halfway point of the season and we get closer and closer to where we're going to be at for the trade deadline and what kind of pieces you need and what you have here with the group already, there are things that I start to identify. And ultimately, one of those areas would be the defense, and specifically the bottom pair. Seeing Timmins and Benoit and Philippe Myers out there constantly makes me feel like there are other upgrades that you could find in the trade market to kind of improve that. And even if it's not a guy who you know is going to be a bona fide 5 or 6, maybe you get a guy who can step up and can challenge them at least, because it feels like every single time someone comes back, Philippe Myers is the automatic out. And if he's the automatic out, then what competition is that really? Because it feels like Timmins and Benoit, for the most part, know that they're going to be in this lineup on a nightly basis. And they're going to be able to go in and be a part of this roster. And it's like Myers isn't really pushing them that hard. I don't think he's being incredible or anything. Even when Timmins and Benoit don't have that great of games, it's like, okay, it is what it is. They were fine, move on. Well, maybe we could find someone who's better than fine. Maybe you could find someone who comes in here, is stabilizing to the partner that they play with, is stabilizing for Connor Timmins, because even right now, watching this shuffle of trying to find guys who can play with other players and kind of balance things out is frustrating. Like, watching them have to go, Morgan Riley and Timmins or Riley and Myers to figure things out. It's like, This ultimately, to me, is not a pairing I want to see in the playoffs. And I don't think anybody in Leafs Nation wants to see those guys playing together in the playoffs. If honestly, if that report comes through and I do a pregame here and tell you, you know what, Leafs versus Bruins or Lightning or Panthers or whoever the hell it's going to be in the first round, and Connor Timmins is playing with Morgan Rielly, I mean, you might as well put your diapers on because you're going to be shitting yourself the entire game watching those guys go out there and play 24, 25 minutes a night. Like, that's not going to be comfortable. Morgan Rielly can play with other guys, but you got to find other players to play with, to play alongside those bottom guys and start to push things back up, because the balancing act that's having to go on right now, not great. Not great. There needs to be an improvement there. One other thing that I noticed, and I'm interested on where the chat is on this one, because I saw a comment that said, it's time to talk about Joseph Woll. Vic said the other day that he thinks his number one is Joseph Woll. Go to the playoffs, the guy you put in there is Joseph Woll. My argument was it would be Anthony Stolarz. I think he's had the better start to the season. I think outside of injury here, he's been very reliable. Joseph Woll did not have a good game here tonight. Looking at this one, .846 save percentage. He gives up 4 goals against, 26 shots, 22 saves here for Woll. Obviously, Winnipeg scores an empty netter. There is some concern for me. The Islanders game, I don't think he was great. This game here tonight, I don't think he was great. So I'm kind of not panicked, but I'm wondering if there's also an element of things coming back down here where the goaltending was so unbelievable, where the goaltending was winning you games and stealing you games, that we became reliant upon that, and now the team is hanging the goalies out to dry, and you're just like maybe in some of these situations not getting that save that you would have got before. Like, the team's defensive play has dropped off. So what I'm trying to say here is I don't think that Woll had a great game. I don't think he's the reason that the team lost tonight, but I feel like they're kind of not helping each other. The team is giving up some of these opportunities that they wouldn't have like 3 weeks ago, where it's these loose plays, bad pinches, maybe a bad read here or there, not trusting your partner, not trusting the forward, not trusting the defenseman, and getting out of position, and then a collapse happens. And then rather than Joseph Woll making that save where it's like, other than the one late in the third period there that went off of his head. So I'm not trying to say it's happening every time, but there are ones that, okay, it's one that just squeaks through him, or one that he's facing the guy mano-a-mano against the shooter, and he's allowing it to kind of squeak through him or get by or beat him short side. Like, those kinds of things are now happening a little bit more frequently with Woll here, and that kind of stuff is concerning, but I feel like the Leafs are just giving up a lot of chances against and being so leaky that he's having to face a lot more dangerous opportunities, and they're just not giving us that extra save a night. They're making probably the right amount of saves, but they're just not making the extra one. That being said, to contradict myself completely and sound like a complete and utter idiot, there is moments here from Joseph Woll that I'm going, ooh, I wish we had that one back. I wish he saved that one. The Scheifele play here tonight where the puck goes in behind them and then they jam away, which I was surprised that they didn't challenge that one at all. I thought that there would have been some grounds for it. And also, it's not like penalties carry over from game to game to game. Why would you not like challenge that and say, fuck it, and we'll just go to the penalty kill if it needs to be? Because it feels like there's something that you might be able to push against and push for in that moment. I don't know. There's some moments that feeling that. Joshua Disatel, basically what I was saying is I'm surprised they didn't challenge. It felt like they could have just done it there and just gone for it. I was reading this here in the chat. This is what was distracting you. I was talking about that. Joshua Disatel from Trade Rumor yesterday to Leafs, Mason McTavish and Frank Vetrano at double retained 912,000 AAV for the Leafs. To the Ducks, Nicholas Robertson, Yanni Hakanpää, a third in 2025, a Sharks pick, right-handed D prospect Topi Niemela, or left-handed D prospect Mikko Kokkonen, fifth in 2025, Semyon Duragin-Chintsev RFA signing rights. To Sabres pick or prospect for Sabres to retain 50%. True or not, we will see. Joshua, I have not seen that anywhere. I don't know where you got that from or who that was you heard that from, but I have not seen that anywhere or heard that from anyone viable or anybody bringing that up or anybody confirming any of that. So just want to point that out there to anybody who's reading that in the chat or engaging in that conversation. I have not seen that. That's not something that's even come up or being a thought that could be the case. Not trying to call you a liar, Joshua, but that is just not being seen anywhere. So I don't know where that one came from. Top Skull, if we still had Samsonov, we would be a 500 team. Fair enough. I also saw a comment. Lanny a cut. 3 cross-ice deflections. Not sure how you pin those on the goalie. I mean, the Kyle Connor goal that opens the scoring and makes it 1-0 was not a cross-ice deflection. That's a front-of-the-net deflection. And this is where I've seen this a couple of times here now. It happened against the Islanders too, where Wall is further out at the top of his paint from a point shot, and then a rebound pops out and is slower to get across. Now, I'm not a goaltending expert or someone who's able to kind of dig into like the fundamentals of goaltending play, but those happen on multiple power plays. It happened against New York on Saturday. It happened again here today against this Jets team, where a rebound pops out and he's further up top, where he's now not able to get across and get to that rebound. Like, that is another situation that I personally look at and say, I wonder why he's that far out. Would he not have liked to have that back? I know he's trying to take away space on that, but you're also on the penalty kill where the Jets are going at you like that. And it's like that decision to go out and face that has now hurt you because you're getting scored against. So it's moments like that that I'm wondering, as someone who's not a goalie expert, what the hell happens on that. Yes, obviously the second goal where it is beating McCabe to the front of the net by Kyle Connor there, and it's a pass across and he tips it in. That is something I'm not going to blame Joseph Wall for. It is the goal by Scheifele, who Bobby McMahon lets him get in behind him and taps it in back door. Yeah, that's not really something I'm going to pin on Joseph Wall. But, like, then again, the fourth goal that happens, it's behind him. He's just laying on the ice on his stomach. I thought he could have pinned himself up against the post. I thought he maybe could have gotten better positioning or won that battle there a little bit. Maybe it's just getting used to how dominant or unbelievable Stolarz has been here, and maybe we just got used to exceptional goaltending, and now maybe it's just, hey, it's good goaltending. I don't think he's and again, Benny B. Wall is the least of the problem. I'm not saying this guy's a problem. We're just pointing out reality of tonight's game and what went wrong for them in some of these cases. That's one of those things. One of the other spots here, 1 for 3 on the power play again tonight. Good on you for scoring on the power play. But yet again, honestly, the power play is fucking dog shit. Sorry to be so harsh on it, and like, I'm not one to call for, I don't want to call for somebody else's job, but seriously, what the hell is Mark Savard doing here? if he's come in here to run this power play, and I listened to Rosie talk about it, he said it on the show, I listened to Vic talk about it, I listened to Nick talk about it when these guys come by here or on the morning show, whatever it may be. Like, I take all this into consideration, and the one kind of thing that has been a consensus was, it's not like this guy was some power play guru elsewhere and was unbelievable in Calgary before he came in here. That power play was not that good there. He's now come here. Why can you not make a mid-season change on the power play, coach, and try something else? Because you know what? You've gone through all these combinations, 5 forwards, 2 defensemen. You've put guys on different units. You had Matthews in, you had Matthews not in the lineup. You had Nylander play for a full 2. You had Marner play as the D-man. Like, you took Nyes off. You put Nyes on. You've tried all of this shit, and the power play still seems like they lack urgency, like they're just out for a Sunday skate, like they just are slow, they are not direct, they're not getting pucks to the net, they're not creating chances. And this is not a one-off. And I know people will look at this and say, okay, on Saturday night, they didn't have a power play. That's fine. Tonight, they went 1 for 3. Oh, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, 1 for 3, 33% is fine. And on Friday night, you went 1 for 3. 1 for 3 is fine. Like, when you look at bigger picture of what your power play percentage should be, yeah, 33% is fine. But the issue that I have, which is what kills me with some people sometimes here who are trying to break things down watching these games, is like, oh, well, they scored. Why are you mad? You know why it frustrates me? Because every year when they get to the playoffs, they run into the same issues. And one of them is inability to score on the power play. It's so hard to score at 5-on-5. It's so hard to generate chances when you're even manned. And you need to be able to capitalize on your power plays. You know how Edmonton got as far as they did in the playoffs last year? I'll tell you, it's not because of their defense, which I don't think is very good. And it's not because of their goaltending, which I don't think is very good or consistent. It's because when they had power play opportunities, now mind you, they were good in other areas of the game, but when they had power play opportunities, they were able to capitalize. So you get your chance up a man. You get your chance at an odd man situation, and you fucking score goals. You are able to do that. These guys are not. And when you get to the playoffs every single year with this power play, they are nothing. They disappear because it is a tighter game. They play peripheral. They don't go to the middle. They don't get shots on net. They just pass the puck around for 2 minutes doing fuck all. And then finally, it's like, okay, the 2 minutes is up. Now the other team has momentum. The power play stinks every year in the playoffs, and we are seeing it here constantly through 82 games. Again, as we have seen in years past, towards the end of the season last year, in the COVID year, we saw the power play dry up the exact same way as they went into the playoffs. This power play cannot do that. This power play cannot figure things out and find ways to be a threat. Like, they just go out there for 2 minutes and fuck around and do nothing the entire time. Like, they don't do anything. This power play needs to change. And you're not going to get rid of Matthews and Marner and Nylander, etc. So Tavares and Nylander have been really good at this point anyways, especially on the power play. But what are you going to do here to change this? Why not change Savard if that's the case? Why not give it a shot? Why not try to change something? Like, why not? Also, I feel like probably other shows don't do this, but on the Leafs Nation, we do. I've seen Nick do it. I've done it. Rosie does it. JG, listen to this whiny little bitch. Shut up already. Shut up, loser. No one needs your whining shit. Hey, JG, you know what you can do with your middle finger emoji and your shit emoji? You can take it and shove it up your hoop and turn off the YouTube if you don't want to watch it or listen to this. Because everyone else who's watching this team has had the exact same experiences with this. So if you're going to sit in the corner and just jerk yourself to watching this team put up 100 plus points every year and watching 16 get his numbers and yada, 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 that's fine. The reality is this team's not good enough to win long term, so we'll break things down as it is. We call it out for what it is. And if you don't want to hear it, then you can go back to your padded room and turn this thing off, because maybe it's not for you, and maybe watching this team is not for you. So deal with that one, JG. Sorry to tell you, but that's what it is. Turn it off if it's not for you. Sorry, brother. Thanks for commenting and watching, though. Appreciate that. Anyways, back to the game, as we gotta... that's fucking weird, by the way. Says, oh, I'm jerking it, all right, you clown. I mean, all right, you're watching this and you're jerking it. That's a strange situation to be in. I typically don't. I wouldn't think someone would be turning on this to be doing that, but you enjoy. Good luck to you. All right. Anyways, back to what we've got for the team. I mean, we kind of covered the defense here. We've covered goaltending, coaching, what we have on the power play. Those are all frustrating aspects. And this team loosening things up here defensively, just allowing this to become an issue for them. It's frustrating to watch this and have this go back down this path, because we've seen this group play a lot better with Berube here to start this season. And now we're just going back to where we were at with the team in years past. Why revert? Why revert when you had built so much goodwill with the fan base, when you had gone so far in the right direction, and now things are just tailing back off? Like, that is just a strange path to go down for this group. You had done so well, and now you're going to go here into Christmas break off of basically like a 2.5 week stretch of just nonsense defensively, airing your goalies out, whatever it may be, because this group is just really right now not able to kind of get things together in the defensive zone, and that's right back to where they've been in years past. It's not good, and it's not conducive to success when it matters the most down in the playoffs. And that's where this becomes a concerning aspect for this team and the identity of this team. The guys that have been the best here over the last little while, and honestly, like, I think Mitch has played well offensively. I think Nylander has probably been your best player so far this season. I think JT has kind of turned back the clock here and found some legs under him. So kudos to him, but it needs to be consistent from everyone here throughout the lineup, and there needs to be a full buy-in. And I mean, each night now we've come on here and been like, this fell apart, that fell apart, that fell apart, and it's leading to some of these results and these frustrating kind of post games where we'll look at it and be like, this is an area of concern that we've seen be an area before. Like, if it was a new thing, I would probably not be as concerned about these things each time they come up and say, hey, you know what? This just happened once, and this is just a new thing. They'll get rid of it. But this is something that we've seen year in and year out with the defensive play, letting things open up like this, and then trying to go track meet and saying, hey, you know what? It's not going to be that great in the playoffs because of these things come up when you get there, and that is a cause for concern for myself. All right, we got a couple of more things to get to here before we finish out the show today, including best bet recap, including play of the game, and as well our grade of the game before we get out of here. But one other thing to remind you guys on is the Nation Vacation. This is not your average trip. This is the Nation Vacation. We're taking it up to the Music City, baby. From March 20th to 23rd, we're packing our jerseys and heading to Nashville to watch Toronto take on Nashville in their own barn. We're talking hockey action, honky-tonk vibes, and the kind of memories that only come when you roll deep with the Nation crew. Flight packages, yep, we've got them. Prefer to handle your own travel. We've got non-flight options too. Whatever works for you, just get yourself there because this is going to be electric. Spots are limited, so don't miss your chance to join the action. Book your trip now at nationgear.ca. That's nationgear.ca. Nashville awaits. See you there. Make sure to get your Nation Vacation booked now. And maybe JG wants to join and say that to my face, to Nick's face, and maybe to former NHL enforcer Jay Rosehill's face. I would like to see how that plays out there as well. But Nation Vacation, March 20th to 23rd. Make sure you head on over to nationgear.ca and get your package in purchase in now. Let's get to the next thing here today on the show, and that would be the play of the game. All right, play of the game for me is going to be John Tavares' second goal. Watching Nylander and Tavares over the last little while has been fun. As much as there's been frustrating aspects to this team, I think the one thing that we've kind of consistently talked about every single time we've come on the show was, wow, Nylander was good tonight. Wow, John Tavares was good tonight. And not to say that Marner has been bad in any of these games. Actually, more times than not, we've come on and the conversation has been like, Mitch was really good today. Mitch did this really well, etc. Since Matthews came back, Mitch's play actually kind of tailed off a little bit there. We'd seen him dance around in certain situations, but those two paired together was kind of strange and actually had people diving in here to be like, shut this off, like get these guys out and shut it down, break them apart, don't put them on the power play since Matthews came back. And I think part of it is Matthews being a step behind, part of it is Marner deferring to him. But the guys that have been the most consistent for me have been Nylander and Tavares. And the play of the game goes to that Tavares goal. It's Nylander winning, kind of winning a battle there, making the right play along the wall in the defensive zone, spreading up ice and taking off with speed. He's driving down the left side wall, and from just inside the blue line, he makes a full ice, cross ice pass on his backhand, saucer pass to the defenseman who's coming into the zone, gets the puck, passes it into John Tavares, who is streaking into the zone. And as he comes in, he cuts back across and rips that thing past Connor Hellebuck. I thought that was an awesome play. It was a great start. It was a great goal by John Tavares, a great finish by him there as well. I also enjoyed the physicality that the team brought here from some of the guys that you don't necessarily expect it early on. That is where I kind of go in after where it's like, you know what, it tailed off and the group kind of lost that identity that they had and where they were from the beginning of the game and how well they started off there, because it really, really just kind of dialed down. And I don't know why they lost that throughout the game. Like, I don't know why that tailed off. Like, it started well and then it just kind of disappeared throughout the remainder of the game. So that was frustrating. Early on, that was awesome. The puck movement, the forecheck, how physical they were, sticking up for each other, it was all there. And then as the game went on, it kind of just like felt lifeless. They seemed tired. They seemed out of it. And it was like, hey, we're ready for Christmas break. I am too, but you lost it. I don't know why that happened. You're paid to get through this, and it just lost it. That was frustrating to see. The play of the game, though, definitely goes to that John Tavares goal. Good on him. The pass by Marner as well, I want to give an honorable mention to that. The pass by Marner to Tavares to tap that in at the side. Great pass through by him. Johnny T on the doorstep almost misses it, but ends up, as he hits it, is able to recover and bang it back in. Johnny T's been on fire. The amulet seems to be getting to his legs and giving him and his legs some new life, his hands some new life, and kind of turning back the clock. So kudos to him. Kudos to him. Yes, sorry. I'll give it a rest criticizing professional athletes making millions of dollars. I know. That's my bad. That is my bad. All right. Next thing let's get to is the best bet segment of the night here tonight. Ultimately did not go our way, but it's okay because we got ourselves well into the positive over the last little while for this group. And I think that that's kind of built up enough here for us to not have to live and die by every single win or loss that we're going with here on the show. You know, you hit some of these big plus monies, it gets you back in the right direction. And when you have some of these losses that are a quarter unit, the smaller amounts, they don't hurt as much. And our best bet segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION, all caps, NATION. When you sign up, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Our best bet tonight was Nick Robertson anytime goal. Part of the fact was just how well the third line had been playing. Obviously, when that pregame post went out, I was very obvious about it and very clear about it and said, like, hey, one thing to watch out for here is that as we get to the game, these lines might change drastically. We might see some very different combinations because we were hearing a lot of murmurs about, oh, there's some game time decisions. Some guys might not go. Some guys might play with different players. Well, ultimately, we end up betting Nick Robertson plus 550 here. And I still think it was a good bet because we bet him plus 550, expecting him to play second line power play minutes. We expected him to be playing on a third line that had been looking really good lately. And he ends up getting bumped up to the second line with Nick Roberts, with Max Domi and William Nylander. And for the bet that we made, that's basically the best that you could ask for in that situation because it gives him even better line mates. It gives him more exposure. It gives him more time on ice. Obviously, it's a more difficult defensive matchup or forward line matchup that he's going to be going up against, which, yeah, that's going to put us a little bit in a difficult position. But to play up with William Nylander and in that role, yeah, it puts us ahead of the eight ball betting that at plus 550. So the $25 bet, the quarter unit bet, we lose that one, but we are still profiting $125 on the season here so far with that loss today. So ultimately, I'm not worried about it as much big picture. We bounce back. We have another opportunity on Friday to get things back on track. And, you know, in the win column here again, it just doesn't happen for us tonight. So unfortunately, it is what it is, but that was our best bet for tonight's game, and we will get to here now our grade of the game to close things out. If you guys are watching and you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. We're only 2 likes away from the smelling salts on the stream here today at 50. We've had almost 200 people watching the stream here today, so keep hitting that like button. We could get this thing all the way up to 100 likes here before we finish out, but our grade of the game, which I want to know where you guys are at in the chat and how you feel. I think my grade for today is going to be like a C+. Penalty kill, you go 1 for 2 on the penalty kill. Ultimately, that one comes off of a scrambly face-off where Winnipeg wins it, goes back, they get the shot off right away. Winnipeg is very quick to react and get themselves into position and get themselves into, honestly, like, I'm thinking about this more. It's like I might even go to like a C minus on this. Like, I feel like I went too high, but Winnipeg gets themselves into like a very quick offensive threat position. They are ready to attack. Kyle Connor jets out to the side. You got Velarde in front, ready to tip the puck. The shot comes through. It doesn't allow Toronto to set. As I mentioned earlier, Wall kind of comes out very high out on that one. So when the rebound pops out, and it's a big rebound, Kyle Connor is easily there to kind of collect that, and Joseph Wall is not able to get back across and make that save. So that in itself is like, you know what? I'm not going to rip on the penalty kill here tonight. The one goal that was scored comes off of the face-off, and it's a little bit scrambly. You'd like them to tighten up. Where it is terrible is Defensive play here tonight, they were loose. They looked tired. They did not look that engaged. From where they were at the beginning of the game here, it really tailed off by the end, and they just didn't look like the same team. On top of that, I don't think Joseph Wall had the best game here tonight. It just felt a little bit disengaged from what it was at the beginning of the game. The first 20 felt good. Felt like you had a good shot here to beat Winnipeg, even when they were losing. And then it just kind of tailed off from there. That's where the frustration creeps in. The other thing, as we mentioned, the power play stinks. The power play is not good. The process of the power play is not good. It's not enjoyable to watch. Every single time I watch the power play go out there, I basically am at a point of like, I want this to shut off. I don't want these guys. I want it over. I don't want them out there. Like, I would rather play 4-on-4, or I would rather play on the penalty kill, because this is a frustrating group to have to watch go out there together. On TikTok here, Circles of Life says, are you in favor of giving up some of our young talent for a trade? Example, Minton for Kadri. It depends on what the trade is, how much salary would or would not be retained. Like, all those kinds of things are pretty important aspects in the trade. If you have to give up a guy, so be it. Fraser Minton looks like he could be a guy to get into this lineup and actually make an impact here soon, even this season. So if it doesn't have to be him, ideally I would not do him, but depends on who the player is that's coming back. Like, if the player that's coming back is going to really push you over the edge, yeah, you've got to do it. You've got to go in and be willing to make some of these trades. Like, and again, chat's getting pissed. Not for Kadri. No, I don't think for Kadri either. But you're telling me if the right player it comes up that can help this team win now or next year, you're not going to be all in on it? I think you'd think otherwise. Like, I think you'd be much more inclined to make that trade and go out and acquire a player like that who can make a impact. Techno Gamer, Amen Gamer Empire is a Leafs fan from India. That is pretty cool. Thank you for watching the show and making it all, the Leafs Nation After Dark, making it all the way out to India is a pretty cool concept. So thank you for watching. But yeah, grade of the game tonight for me is going to be a C-. Not quite at the D. I mean, I could be close, but there's just some positive. Yeah, I think they started well, and then it went downhill from there. Tough loss for the guys tonight, but that's going to do it for us on the post-game show here today. We appreciate you guys. Quick reminder, the Leafs don't play again until Friday, so everyone out there, you enjoy your breaks. There won't be another game coming up. On Christmas Day, there will be a Christmas special that drops. Myself, Rosie, Carter Hutton, Nick Alberga, producer Vic, doing a panel talking about where the Leafs are at right now, how we're feeling about the team, what's going on, all that kind of stuff. That'll be dropped on Christmas Day, so you will have some content throughout the rest of the week, and that'll involve all the boys coming up here later on. So make sure to tune in for that as well. I will be back on Friday for another Leafs Nation After Dark, and I will be live from Ottawa. We'll be going to Ottawa with Jeff Merrick for World Junior coverage, so a little bit of a different show coming up on Friday there. And last thing, well, I mean, same show, but it'll just be in a hotel room. Last thing to get to here, we did hit 50 likes right as we were about to go out. Thank you guys for liking the stream. Appreciate it. Here is the smelling salts for all of you guys who liked it. I appreciate it. There you go. That burns. This being game number 35 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season. Dropping this one 5-2 to the Winnipeg Jets, moving to 21-12-2 on the season. Thank you for all the support. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show, watching the stream. I appreciate it. As always, keep liking, subscribing. Let's get it to 15,000 subscribers. Until Friday, or I guess until Wednesday when you watch the Christmas special, which I hope everyone does. We will see you guys then. Enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates. Thank you for the support on the show. Thank you for watching. that's all for me. I will see you guys, I guess, on Friday, but also on or Wednesday when the Christmas special comes out. Till then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.